llama? ¿Quién más? ¿Quién más? DJ Watt!
What is going on, Pittsburgh Steelers fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Steelers Preview. I am Jeff Hartman, joined by the triumphant trio. I am part of said trio, Dave Schofield and Bryan Davis. What's up, Dave? How's it going?
Hey, it's going. We're trying to figure out what happened in that joint practice today, or as they said, Snoop Dogg's favorite kind of practice that they had with the Buccaneers. Okay, at least I got someone to react. That we just last year we got a report on every little thing that happened, just like training camp. This year, nothing like that. But hey, at least we'll get back to real football on Saturday night again.
That's true. Bryan, what's up?
I am here. I am happy. I am ready to roll. I love the fact that they have those joint practices. I think those joint practices are more beneficial to the team, according to a guy like Aaron Rodgers. So, you know, something like that makes me happy, and we'll talk about the rest later. If it doesn't.
All right, so we are going to get you all ready for the upcoming game Saturday, 7 p.m., same time, just it's at Acrisure Stadium against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And yes, Tampa Bay was in Pittsburgh all week, and they practiced at Acrisure Stadium today on Thursday. Before we get into that, I want to talk about Mike Tomlin. He spoke to the media before this joint venture today, and it's really the same list of players that didn't participate last week that are not participating this week. I want to start there. The only one, this was according to, I guess Mike Tomlin kind of said, I know Brooke Pryor, I saw it on Twitter, Nick Herbig may play some in week 2, depending on how much work he got in the joint practice today. All healthy players will play. That doesn't mean that someone like Dante Kent is going to be healthy enough to play, or I doubt Calvin Austin III. Dave, were you surprised at all by the Steelers saying still no starters this week?
I'm not surprised, but that doesn't mean that I'm not disappointed. That I thought that maybe they would actually do something. I'm one that said in the past, particularly last year, week 1, that I feel part of the reason the Steelers were able to win that game is that Atlanta didn't play anybody during the preseason, even when they had a brand new quarterback to their team. Now, he was coming off a huge injury, so that was a little bit different about not playing him at all, and I thought that was a mistake. I'm not going to change it to say, oh, no, it's fine, just because it's the Steelers. So I would like to see him do something, and I thought if they were going to, it would have been this week. Maybe they're saying, hey, well, the ones that aren't playing, you have a week recovery time from the joint practice to play next Thursday. It just seems tough because, you know, we're in a week from now, we're going to be back here talking about the third game after it's done. So I don't know that they're going to have anyone else. I'd like to see Nick Herbig actually out there. One person that he didn't say, I think so by name, he said the core secondary guys. I assume that was the 3 cornerbacks and Deshaun Elliott. He didn't say Elliott by name. I think he said defensive backs and not cornerbacks, so that's what makes me think that he's including Elliott. That's the only other one that I can think of. But I'm a little bit disappointed personally that they're not playing at all, because I thought of course, when someone gets hurt, you're like, oh no, why did they play at all? But if they didn't, you're like, it would be nice for them to get a little bit more rust shaken off, especially based on some of the reports that we heard from this practice today.
Yeah. Bryan, what's your thoughts? Are you disappointed that they're not going to be having the starters in the lineup?
Just like Dave, I'm disappointed, but not surprised. Mike Tomlin is going to do what Mike Tomlin wants to do, and apparently Mike Tomlin thinks that this is best for his team. He's in the building. I'm not. So, you know, I will go with it, but I don't love it. I just don't, unless you're trying to build up Skylar Thompson to trade him, which apparently there's been 9 teams that have already been, since last week, asking about Skylar Thompson. That's a report that I read today. You know, unless you're trying to build these guys up or build somebody up, even trade a Mason Rudolph if Howard's healthy, and if you like Skylar Thompson enough. If that's what they're trying to do, fine, but I get it, Dave, but I mean, yeah. It's just, I'm trying to think into their heads. I don't know why they won't let these guys get the rust off, and we've seen it year after year, even in Ben Roethlisberger's late years, that they didn't get in sync until game 3 or 4, and I think that's a mistake.
So does that mean the first 3 games they just kind of had to say bye to their success?
Absolutely. I was trying to think of, hey, it's going to be me, I guess.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know. When you talk about the starters playing, Deshaun Elliott, I think he said this to the media. They asked him if he wanted to play. He goes, well, of course I want to play. He said, but coach has a plan, and we got to trust him, and we got to go with it. So clearly the plan is we want to have our starters ready to go in week 1 when the games count. We don't want to have any issues. I mean, last year is kind of an aberration with Russell Wilson and the calf injury, which didn't happen in a preseason game. That happened pushing a sled. So,
but it was re-aggravated during practice, right? After the last preseason game.
I think you're right.
Because he played in preseason week 2
you're
and
right.
3.
Yeah. So clearly the Steelers think they have a plan in place that's going to work. We'll see. I do want to talk to you guys a little bit about the fact that the Jacksonville, I'm still in last week, that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are playing their starters except for Mike Evans and Levante David, I believe, are the 2 names I've heard. Baker Mayfield's going to play. They're going to have their full allotment of healthy players on the field. Does that pique your excitement, kind of like it did last week? Dave, I'll let you go first.
Just from the standpoint of you're going to see pretty much the best that the opponent has to offer. The fact that they're sitting out anyone kind of takes it down a little bit, because that was what was so neat last week with Jacksonville, where it was everybody. There was not one person that they were holding out unless it was an injury or something. So it's still, for the most part, right there. So yeah, you want to see how whoever the Steelers put on the field, how they do against someone who, a unit that has more of its starters than what you have, and how you compare to a unit like that.
Bryan, the Steelers 2 versus the Tampa Bay 1s. What do you think about that?
Well, it's funny because they're going against the same offense, because this is a Liam Cohen-led offense, even though Liam Cohen isn't there. I love the fact that they're going up against Baker Mayfield, who this team was fourth in points, 3rd rushing attack team, 3rd overall in offense. I mean, like in all 4 major categories, they were no worse than 4th, either 3 or 4 in the entire league. So if they can get a little taste of that, this is, even though it's preseason, it's supposed to be trial, but a trial by fire for some of these other guys that are competing. It does make them stronger. And I will not use the sports phrase that I'm starting to hate because I hear on everything. But when you have these younger, and that's iron sharpening iron, I think everybody's using that ad nauseum right now. But when you have these younger guys, these guys competing for jobs, competing to be depth, and they're going up against the best, it is very helpful. I just want to go back to the fact that I want to make sure that the JPJs are ready to go in week 1 and not playing 3 games. Then in week 4, they're all beat up because they haven't played in preseason.
Something that AFL just said in the live chat is worth noting. He said, you guys don't know, the plan might be to have starters play some in the 3rd game, which would make sense because if you think about it, that Thursday game, and then you have an entire week, almost 2 full weeks before week 1, that might be a plan, is to say we're going to let you practice against them on Thursday, which they did. Aaron Rodgers and the starters participated in that joint practice today, Thursday. We'll talk about that here in a second. We're going to give you a week's time, and then you're going to go out there against Carolina on the road, play a series or 2, and then get the hell out of there, wrap you in bubble wrap, get you ready for week 1. Bryan, what do you want to say?
Yeah, you know what? I don't know. You guys don't remember this because you were, Jeff, you were way too young. But when I was in middle school and high school watching the last Steelers preseason game, and there were 4 back then, but that was a good showing on who the team was going to be, because they played most of their starters the full game in preseason game number 4. Then it kind of morphed into the 4th preseason game was no starters, and then it became 3. So the formula is all mixed up. I'm not going to hold my breath on the Steelers playing guys, but even in that game, I almost think that he's trying to preserve them. If that is, in a way, it kind of makes me feel like they're playing scared.
Okay. Dave, anything to add?
Well, it's funny you say almost 2 weeks. You mean that's almost 2 weeks to even start the first practice of your typical week preparing.
True.
It's 2.5 weeks until the actual game because of it being on Thursday. So yeah, I could see that. I could also see that, hey, this is they ask for the Carolina Panthers a lot. They haven't got them the last couple of years. They are finishing up with the Panthers. I could see them saying we're going to treat preseason game 3 like we used to when there was 4. They could play them. I'm not banking on it. I'm not, because honestly, since they've dropped to 3 games, which, remember, the first year they dropped to 3 preseason games, the Steelers had 4 because they played in the Hall of Fame game that first year. So they haven't really been consistent with how they've done it. They really haven't. I know last year after the joint practice, I don't know if they played more players, but looking back at the stats, only Russell Wilson and Justin Fields played quarterback, or at least threw any passes. If they put someone else in at the end, they didn't throw anything. So that's why I was looking at this one, especially being at home and against a team you just had a joint practice with, maybe doing that, but I just don't know. We'll have to wait till next week to see. I love how, I think it was Jer Bear that asked the question. I couldn't tell for sure, but in the press conference today with Tomlin, he asked him, well, is this Rodgers' preseason? Meaning the joint practice. And he says, he's like, we haven't decided on next week. Nice try, is how Tomlin answered that. Like, knowing that they were trying to get that answer for how it was going to be going forward. And that's just not how they're handling it.
So I want to switch gears from Mike Tomlin's presser to the joint practice today. And I again, we talked about it before we hit record. The No Fun Steelers came out and said no reporters. They have to treat it like a practice setting in season. So that meant they couldn't film anything, maybe some one-on-ones, but they didn't even want any video or photos out until after practice. And then after practice, they couldn't report anything unless a player said it. So after the practice, when Pat Freiermuth said, our offense dominated the 7 shots drill and we won 6-1, then reporters can go and say, yes, the offense dominated 6-1, and this was corroborated by Pat Freiermuth. But we did get some nuggets. Dave, what was something that stood out to you from those? You were doing the tracker for SteelCurtainNetwork.com, so I figured you would know.
Yeah, so the tracker ended up not being a tracker; it ended up more or less being a report.
That's fine.
Which is because it wasn't at all when it was happening. To me, they said, yeah, the offense was rolling early with 7 shots. I would kind of expect the Steelers to win 7 shots. I think they won both offense and defense against Buffalo. They didn't win on defense this year. The report was that Tampa won at 4-3. That was from how do you say the guy? They're picked from Ohio State, the wide receiver.
Oh, and Becca
Agawale or whatever it is.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't. I could do it if the name's in front of me, but if it's not, then I'm going to butcher it. I probably still can't even do it if the name was in front of me, but I have a better chance.
We know who you're talking about.
Yes, that the defense lost, but then the report is that the Steelers offense didn't even get a first down in the 2-minute drill.
Nope, Freiermuth
and the defense gave up a touchdown.
Yikes.
Yeah.
And I do know that the Bucs, after the fact, they said that Mike Evans couldn't be stopped, and he burned Jalen Ramsey a couple times. There was a fight that got started by one Cameron Johnston, the punter. He did not like a guy landing close to his plant leg. Obviously, I understand it. The dude just missed all last year after that happened. He took some liberties, he felt, and so he made him pay for it. And I guess Christian Kuntz got up and he went after the guy, and it was
Connor Hayward was another one, I think.
It was no holds barred. No holds barred in that. But Bryan, did you see anything that got your attention?
Yeah, really looking at the tracker, there was not much that I saw. I mean, it was nice to see that it was absolutely nice to see that the visitors were there when you had Shazier and Roethlisberger and his kids and everything. But there's not too much that I saw. I don't know whether this is a report from yesterday or today. Please forgive me. Everything gets bunched all in there. But was there a point where Rodgers was yelling at he had words with Caleb Johnson, from what I understand?
That was reported today, but it wasn't about today's practice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even see who reported it, where that happened. And my gosh, if the rookie made a mistake and he made him hear about it, why is this a headline?
Okay, could I jump in on that?
Yeah.
That's why they don't want people in practice. A couple weeks ago, you had Freiermuth putting his hands in the air, and then people are like, all of a sudden, oh, there's problems with Rodgers and Freiermuth. No, it's, hey, I'm open. And yeah, he was frustrated, he didn't get the ball. But because we have our video phones, we're doing everything. No, Jay?
Well, he came out with a report later where Freiermuth said, no, I threw the hands up the air. I was mad at myself. I ran the wrong route.
Okay.
Which is even better.
Let me chime in here, Brian, because I agree with you. I understand why the Steelers are like the way they are. I just don't like it. I like getting the reports. I like it feeling like we're getting a little bit of access.
I thought this was the last one where we would get that, and we didn't.
I agree with you. So I understand, Brian. I don't like the way the Steelers do it, but I understand why they do it.
Yeah, and you know what? And we're ruining it too. I mean, we are taking an inch, giving an inch, and taking a whole 100 yards on this one.
Absolutely.
Not us, but fans.
We are fans. We're content creators, though, so we're going to take something and run with it. Like, that's just what we do. But okay, so
and also remember, these is also guys complaining that went to a combined 0 training camp practices in 2025. So like, it's not even like that we went to practice and watched it when we could. So
I'm glad I didn't. I couldn't imagine driving the 3+ hours there and then having a thunderstorm pop up and then like, oh, we're doing inside. And you're like, are you kidding me? We just drove.
Yeah, or me, even like the heat that was going on.
Higher cover charge at the
beehive.
You got to check yourself in with Sapphire before you sit down. All right. So, anything else, Dave, that we should know about the joint practice on Thursday?
Honestly, there still wasn't all that many reports. Okay. There was no reports of injury.
Good.
But they were only allowed to report it if somebody said something about it. Yeah. Ben Roethlisberger was there watching. Other than that, there really wasn't. You couldn't get too much from it.
I heard Scotty Miller really showed up again.
Yes, that was one that was that I included in the tracker. That they said that Scotty Miller was someone who once again stood out.
That's where I got it.
So Nick Farabaugh, who is a friend of the show, he's been on the Let's Ride podcast before. He's been on other shows as well. Here's some information from him. A quote from Brandon Eccles that stood out. He said, quote unquote, we came out a little flatter than usual, talking about the Steelers defense. The 7 shot periods went as follows: the Steelers offense over the Bucs defense 6-1. That came from Pat Freiermuth. And the Bucs offense over the Steelers defense 4-3. And that's, like Dave said, from Emeka Egbuke. There you go.
Yeah.
Nick also said that Emeka said that the Steelers ran a lot of zone coverage today against them, not as much man-to-man. Called facing Jalen Ramsey surreal. He confirmed the Bucs offense was successful on the 2-minute drive with Baker Mayfield finding Evans against Jalen Ramsey. But to Brian's credit, he said one player who multiple players named that stood out were Scotty Miller. He's also got praise from Andy Weidel, which, by the way, let's also talk about that. The assistant GM met with the media after Mike Tomlin today. I checked out some of the quotes. I haven't looked at the transcript yet. I haven't watched it back. But one thing that was interesting to me is they asked him about all the picks that they've accrued. And he kind of said something that a lot of GMs are saying now, and that is basically, hey, as the more picks we get, the more chances we have of hitting on players. He didn't really hint at potential trades. He did say that the 2026 quarterback crop he feels is better than 2025. Dave, did you see anything else that you want to mention from Andy Weidel?
Honestly, I really didn't see much. I was recording the podcast from Coach Tomlin. I didn't even know it was happening until it was over. And with everything else and trying to keep up with what was happening in practice, I just haven't gotten to see it.
Okay. Brian, anything from you?
Who's Andy Weidel?
He's not the best color man in the league for nothing, folks. So let's go and talk about players to watch. And remember, let's keep the list in the back of our brain, and let's also compound it with the performance from week 1. So think about a player that offense, defense doesn't matter. Let's do offense first. Let's all keep together. Let's keep some uniformity here. A player that maybe you want to see perform well again, a player that maybe you thought didn't play well last week that you want to see play better, or in any way, shape, or form, Dave, I'll let you go first. Who's an offensive player you're looking forward to see play on Saturday night against Tampa Bay?
Okay, so am I doing one of each and taking all your guys' answers, or am I
Just do one offensive player right now.
Okay, then I'll take the low hanging fruit, somebody who I would like to see play better, mainly because Coach Tomlin specifically brought him up by name in this regard, and that is running back Caleb Johnson.
It's really hit or miss on people that think that he played well and people that he didn't play well. Like, there are some people that watched every rep and like it wasn't as bad as you think. And then there were some reps that were bad. But at the same time, I think, Dave, you might have said it on your Scobro show this week. He's a third-round running back. Like, this is not a first-round pick. So when Najee Harris was drafted in the first round, everyone's like, this is a first-round pick. This guy should be coming in and lighting it up. So I agree with you, Caleb Johnson. Bryan, anything to add to that?
No, I agree too. I thought he looked better than he did, and then I watched him the next day, and I still thought he looked good enough.
Okay. Bryan, what's a player for you that you want to see play well in week 2?
I didn't even have to think about this, and I thought he played well in week 1 in limited action, I think only in 2 series, and it's big number 77, Broderick Jones. I even watched something on, I don't know whether it was YouTube or whether it was on X, but I saw a compilation of his blocks, and the guy looked really good out there. He looked more, and I'm going to take Kevin Smith's quote on this, he looked more natural being in that position, with that being his natural position. I liked what I saw from him. The run blocking does have to get better. I know that. But on pass pro, wow, I thought he looked the part.
Dave, what were you going to say?
I was going to say I was reminded of something that I did see from Andy Weidel. He talked about Broderick Jones.
Yes, he did.
He said that about a week or two ago is when it seemed like he really turned a corner. So
And he also said he started to get healthy.
yeah.
So his groin injury was kind of feeling better. He's starting to trust it more. I think that's a good one. I'm going to go on the other side, and I think that another guy that can compound or start stacking good performances is Troy Fautanu. By all accounts, Troy Fautanu had a fantastic showing. Brian Baldinger, who I love his breakdowns on Twitter, he did one on the Steelers offensive line and talked about just the hand placement and the athleticism, which is what was Troy Fautanu's calling card coming out of Washington. And so he's going to go up against a good defense again. I'd like to see them both, those bookends tackles, if they can really play well. I definitely think that would be a really, really good sign heading into the season. Anyone comment on Fautanu, or are we good?
No, I like that, and I thought they both played well.
Okay. Dave, do you have any other offensive players? I'd like to go around the horn one more time.
Because it was going to be the other one I would have brought up if I would have brought up two. Because first I wanted someone who I thought needed to play better than what they did last week. That was Caleb Johnson. Now I'm going to say somebody that I want to see them play as well as they did last week, and that is wide receiver Roman Wilson. I would like to see him continue to show, since we didn't get to see him in the regular season at all last year or preseason last year, to continue to show that just wasn't, hey, I didn't play all that much early on, but I mean, catching that first pass, things of that nature, that it wasn't just the adrenaline and whatnot. Two's a pattern. So we're looking for that pattern of him having another strong performance.
All right, Bryan, what's another offensive player for you?
This is low-hanging fruit too, I think, but Darnell Washington. I think big Mount Washington has an opportunity here to establish himself for specialty roles, not special teams, but specialty roles in Arthur Smith's offense. I loved what I saw from him. I thought the ball placement was perfect, and that was Skylar Thompson, correct?
No, Mason Rudolph.
That was Mason. Okay,
Yeah.
so I think I screwed that up on another show. Please excuse me. But that ball, the way it was thrown intentionally high out of everybody's reach, but not Broderick. There was another guy. There was a Broderick Washington.
Darnell Washington.
Darnell. But there was a Broderick Washington. I'm trying to figure out who he was now. Just in Darnell's reach, and it was perfect. And my gosh, if this is what the offense is supposed to be with Arthur Smith, we're going to be happy with guys like Darnell Washington.
So I'm going to plug something that we do, and we've done it going back to Behind the Steel Curtain days. We called it the Redmond Award then, but now it's the Brett Kiesel Award, and that's a player who has to fit certain criteria, and they have to be a camp darling, and they have to play well in the preseason. I think this guy with a performance on Saturday that is at least close to what he did in week one could have skyrocketed to the front of that line. I'm going to go with Max Hurlman.
Max Hurlman.
Give me the guy. They nicknamed him Tom Cruise. The players on the team call him Tom Cruise. He's got the chiseled jaw. He's a good-looking dude. He backflipped after he scored a touchdown in week one. He's a player that he is one of those versatile chess pieces, and we know the Steelers are interested in that, or else they wouldn't have brought in Kyle Juszczyk this past offseason for a visit. They wouldn't have given DJ Thomas Jones a big lucrative deal. He's that versatile chess piece who's no longer on the team. But if Max Hurlman could be special teamer, also some value as one of those guys, running back, tight end, fullback, whatever. I'm saying watch out. He might claim himself a roster spot. I'll go with Max Hurlman. Tom Cruise, as they call him. For whatever reason. I don't know why. Any thoughts on Max Hurlman or anyone else? Do you guys want to mention?
I love the Hurlman pick here. I think it's fantastic when we're seeing guys like Juszczyk, and then of course the whoever the guy is for the Ravens. I can't remember right now. He plays both ways sometimes. Ricard. When you're seeing these guys just be specialty players like on fullback, and they're another weapon. They're tough. They're like a tight end in a different spot. But I love it. And they hardly run the ball, but they catch passes. They do special things. Juszczyk wasn't a household name when he was a rookie. Neither was Ricard. And I can't even remember his name now. So, I love the idea of Hurlman there. I think that if he gets the special teams part of his game going, that a guy like Connor Hayward could be in jeopardy.
But then, oh my gosh, Aaron Rodgers, boy, does he pump him up. He talked about he's one of the smartest players on the offense. And I wrote that article for SoCurNetwork.com, and I was like, well, he's giving his vote for who's going to be on the roster. But let's switch gears. Let's go to the defensive side. Same criteria, but just talking about defenders. Dave, I'll let you go first.
Oh, now I got to think about it. I got to pay more attention to him actually being on the field outside of the first series with Derek Hartman. Because like I said, I knew he was going to be out there early, and then I just kind of focused other places and didn't realize he was still playing, which I thought was kind of funny myself. But yeah, I want to see him and I won't throw any more names than just one out there so you guys have other ones to say.
Well,
but
that's something. Hartman is like Caleb Johnson for me. There's people that said he was awful, and then there's people that watched the film and said he had a really good game. It's just a small sample size, and so okay, like Derek Hartman's a good one. Brian, anything to add about Hartman?
No, I like everything that I'm hearing about him in camp, and I think that goes a lot further than what we're hearing in preseason.
All right, Brian, who's one of your defenders?
All right, I'm gonna lay off one of my first choices here. It might be your choice here. I'm going to go with a defensive back, and I love what I'm hearing. I love what I'm seeing. He laid a lick on somebody. It's none other than Juan Thornhill.
Yeah, the guy that I thought his name was Jawan earlier.
Yeah.
On Let's Try, I was like, there's no way this guy's name is Juan. It is.
That made my night.
So, Dave, anything to say about our buddy Jawan Thornhill?
Yeah. I remember telling you that. I don't know if it was on a show or on a message.
I don't think it was on a show. I think like, it actually is Juan. I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah, it is. It's Juan. It's Juan. No, I kind of wish there was someone named Juan that was a receiver for the Buccaneers, so we could see a great one-on-one matchup.
Oh my gosh, this is awesome.
But no, yeah, that's a good one because man, he did smack that guy. Even though for those of us that had to watch the Jaguars feed for the game, although they did credit that to Sebastian Castro instead.
Bucky Brooks. Oh no!
Yeah, that was. Yeah, you knew it was coming.
Yeah. Hospital pass. I like the Juan Thornhill pick. I'm gonna go with a player I hope to see more of because he only played, I think, maybe a series or two. Peyton Wilson. Patrick Queen's not going to play, and so Peyton Wilson has the green dot again. I want to see the guy suplexed a guy. It carried him back like 4 yards, almost got into a little bit of a, kerfuffle there. Whatever, that's fine. But I want to see Peyton Wilson, see if he can. I want to see him a little bit more, a little bit bigger sample size. Any thoughts on him?
I knew you were going with Peyton Wilson. That's why I left him alone. I wanted to talk. Great one. I wanted to talk about Jawan, but I think Peyton is the most intriguing guy here, and all the stuff that we heard about it, like 2 weeks before the draft, they started last year with the buzz on him that he might fall because everyone thinks he's injured. But I was listening on other shows talking about how good this guy is, and I think he just plays the part. And if he can get some more action in there, and he's showing that he's a Stone Cold Steve Austin type of guy by suplexing people. Yeah, I love to see that. If I can get a tombstone pile driver in there or a Stone Cold Stunner, I mean,
that's it.
He's going to be my all-time fave.
Give me the stunner. It would be awesome. Dave, what's another defender for you that you want to see?
Well, hey, you guys want to go other places? I'll stick with the defensive line. Why we want to go see the big guy, get some more job done. Both of those guys played well last week, Black and Hartman. So therefore, I want to see YA Black, what he can do with the next game. Because like I said, sometimes with these new guys, you're like, oh wow, they really did something, but they're really ramped up for that first game. Now it's a little bit backed off. Let's see if they can continue it in that regard. Maybe even see one of these guys get their paws on a pass, which didn't happen last week. So I'll keep watching the guys in the trenches a little bit more.
I hope he plays. He missed the last training.
I know. That's the thing. And actually, that's a good point because I don't think he played today.
Okay, so he might be one of those guys that might be a game time decision. So we'll see. He had a wrap on his upper arm, so I'm not sure what that all entails. But okay, Bryan, it's another player.
I am not going to bring up my Steelers man crush this year on this round because I have a new one, but I'm going to go back to the defensive backfield, and I'm going to talk about a guy who I think could be Deshaun Elliott-like. In the signing was just ho-hum, hey, they signed a guy from the Jets. But Brandon Echols intrigues the heck out of me. I think he's a mouthpiece leader in practice. We're hearing he's talking to the media. I really like this guy. I thought he was going to have an interception. It was just way too high. But he worked for, I mean, if he would have pulled that down, it would have been amazing. It would have been impossible. But it was just so beautiful how he stretched for that ball early on. I think Brandon Echols is a guy to look at here that you have all these bigger names in the defensive backfield. Then there's Brandon Echols, and I think he's more important. And I think he's more important of a guy than, as much as I love his fire, I just still think Beanie Bishop is too undersized.
Well, that's the battle. Watch it, Echols versus Bishop, not obviously not at the same time, but watch when they're out there, like who's making plays. That's going to be a good one to watch. I'm going to go with another battle. I'm going to cheat here. I'm going to say there's two guys on special teams I'm really looking forward to watching, and that is Sebastian Castro and Carson Bruner. Both of them, Carson Bruner had 2 special teams tackles against Jacksonville. I think Sebastian Castro had 1. If you want these guys to make the roster, that's where they have to do it. And so this is like one of the few times in the preseason I am like really glued to the TV when I'm watching preseason special teams, because when Dave and I do our 53-man roster predictions, that's where you have to figure it out. Like who's on the field where, who's making tackles, who's getting down there as a gunner first. Those are the things that matter when you're talking about those last 3 to 4 roster spots. So I'm looking forward to seeing those two guys for sure. Any other thoughts on any players?
Let me throw in one more, and it is my man crush. I've got a crush on number 33, Jack Sawyer. Okay. Just as a Steeler, a football man crush. I'm not going to go like stand outside the showers waiting for him or anything like that. But I just think this guy.
You have to say showers. You could have just said locker room. Come on.
Oh, it paints a better picture, Dave.
Bryan likes the picture it paints. That's fine.
I'm having fun tonight. So let's I just think somebody called him I think it was on X, somebody called him a TJ Watt 2.0. And, I'm getting the looks from both. My gosh, I'm getting the Dave look from Jeff. I just got that look from Jeff. Wow. Okay, yeah. All I'm saying is he just looks like a scrapper. And we love those scrappy blue collar guys. I love his story. I've watched a lot of stuff about him after he was drafted. I want to see more of Jack Sawyer. And I like the fact that we don't need Jack Sawyer to be anything but a special teamer or a guy in waiting or a guy to be just indifferent looks like we saw from Herbig. And I think Sawyer is a bigger bodied guy than Herbig. So if I'm not mistaken. So I would love to see more from him, but this defense is fun to watch. So as upset as I am about not seeing starters, there's a lot of guys on this list that we're excited to see.
Yeah.
Talk about a 180 from last week for Bryan. This is great. Good stuff. We're going to talk more about the preseason game in the second half, as well as we're going to do over-under. We have trivia and final thoughts for those that are watching live on any platform. We're not going anywhere. For those that are listening, we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. All right, Steeler fans, welcome back. Thank you all for being patient. We do appreciate it. Let's talk over what do you want to say,
the
Dave?
Super Chat that we have.
Oh,
that we've had for a while. And
you didn't send it to me, so I'm assuming
I did not. No. It's not
saved.
that kind of Super Chat. No,
Not
this is $2 from Bernard Nixon, and wants to know: do y'all think Rodgers can still play?
I do. I think the question is what are you going to ask him to do? So
Yes.
if they can run the football and he can play action pass, a lot of what you saw Mason Rudolph do, he can do that. If you
Yes.
think it's going to be Mason Rudolph that carved up the Steelers defense in 2010, he is not that guy anymore. Both from a mobility standpoint and an arm standpoint, but I think he absolutely can get it done. Bryan?
Yeah.
Steelers gave him the pieces. The pieces have got to work, and that's the offensive line and the running game, just like what Jeff said. If that happens, absolutely the guy, he can throw it, and he's football smart. There's Ben Roethlisberger was very football smart, a lot more football smart than a lot of people gave him credit for. I thought he was actually very intelligent on the football field. I think Rodgers is more.
Okay. Dave, you want to answer that?
Yeah, that all sounds good.
All right. Thank you for the tip. We do appreciate it. And we're working on seeing if this new system we have will at least highlight super chats. Hopefully by the season. We'll see.
Yeah.
Not holding my breath. Okay, let's update our over-under game from last week. That was rough on all fronts. Dave, did you have that tallied?
Oh, yes, I have it tallied. It was not very good. Out of a possible 5 points for each of us, which would have been a total of 15 points, we managed to score combined a whole whopping 4.
Not surprised.
Because when on the two that we all three agreed were the two that none of us got right, because we all agreed on the wrong way. Jeff, you got one. Bryan, you got one. I got 2.
Okay.
And that's only because I took the under of the field goals.
All right. So we're doing the same thing. We've got 5 here again, all Steelers related, based on the fact that it's the preseason. So preseason week 2, here we go. Let's start off with, we're going to go Bryan, Dave, then me. Pittsburgh Steelers turnovers, turning the ball over. They did not turn it over last week, so the line is set at a half. So it's either a yay or nay, Bryan.
You know what? I don't want to do this, but I have to go over. I think only one, but I'm going to go over because you got Kalijah Cansey. You've got some fantastic players on that defense, and I could see them getting at least one throughout the game. And when you get late into the game, it's, all bets are off. Those aren't very late in the game, the fourth quarter. It's not, we saw Lou go off last week, but all bets are off.
Yeah. All right, Dave, over under.
Yeah, I'm going to take the over because, sometimes just something fluky happens and therefore you end up turning the ball over. They were close to one last week. That ball was on the ground a long time. And was it Evan Hull, I think, that recovered it? He came from a long distance away to get that ball. So the Steelers could still get their one and only field goal, right? That was just
Yes.
one, yes.
Yes.
So I mean, something like that happens and it doesn't bounce their way, then you turn the ball over one time. To go 2 preseason games back to back with no turnovers would really be something. That's why I'm just going to say I think they're going to have one.
Okay, I'm going to be different and say under because I just want to be different. So let's go with the Steelers taking the ball away. They also did not have a takeaway last week. I've got that line at 0.5. Brian, yes or no?
Yes, they're going to get one at least, if not more. But I can't see them getting shut out 2 weeks in a row. You don't have to be a starter on there. We named a lot of good names on that list that are playing, which is getting me more excited, like I said. So someone's going to get one, and it's going to be a defensive back. It might not even be a defensive back that you know. It could be Eccles. It could be Castro. It could be a guy that we don't even know his name right now.
Okay, Dave?
Yeah, I'm going to play the odds, and I'm going to go over. It could even be something like a Hail Mary pass at the end of the half or something. But who throws a Hail Mary pass at the end of the half when you can try to for a 70-yard field goal?
True.
Instead. So maybe at the end of the game. Something like that, you could always end up getting a takeaway somehow. I think there was none total last week. I think you're going to see more, at least one in this one way or the other. So I'll just go over for both of them.
I'm going to go over just because I think the Steelers the defense will do the job at least once. All right, let's go to rushing yards. Last week, the Steelers rushed for 66 yards as a team. I have the line at 70.5. Brian, do you think the Steelers go over or under?
Yes, because I think it's
Yes.
He's in mid-season
You sound like
form.
my wife.
He's in mid-season form, folks.
Yes, I think they're going to go over. And I was gonna get there in bad fashion. I was gonna get there. I think it's a point. It's definitely a point of interest in practice this week. I'm sure. I think that's something that they're talking about. And when you're looking at the film and you're in those meeting rooms, you're talking about the good things and the bad things, but there's a big red circle around the running game. And it's just not the rushers, it's also the run blockers. So that's something to look at. So, yeah, I think they're going to eclipse it.
All right, Dave?
Yeah, Brian talked me into going under. I had over written down, and I'm changing it to under. Now, is it possible if they could rip a big run in there? Yes, that would be probably their best way to get there. I'm thinking because Tampa Bay has such a good offense, the Steelers aren't going to be running the ball 25 times like they did last game. That it might be that they're only going to have 15 carries. Can they go over 70 yards on 15 carries? Maybe they can, but I'm not ready for it yet. So that's why I'm going to be a little bit of a negative Nancy and go under.
I'm going to go over. It's a preseason game. Last week they aired it out. I think they're going to have a focus on trying to run the football this week. So unless they completely suck and fall flat on their face, I think they get it. All right, let's go to the next one. Pittsburgh Steelers touchdowns. Again, not offense, just touchdowns in general. I've got this at 2.5. They scored 4 last week. Brian, over under.
It's surely possible. I was just completely surprised last week, but I'm going to go over. And here's the reason. I think we're going to be looking at a new baseline for a lot of things as far as points. I think everybody in the National Football League is probably going to have a higher point total this year. It's because where they're starting out on the field. That new kickoff rule changes everything, fellas. And I think there's an opportunity for more touchdowns and definitely more scoring. 2 sounds about right, but you throw the half in there, and I'm just going to jump and say, I think they can do it.
All right, Dave?
Yeah, I can't just say yes, and that way I would no matter what, that it's going to be over or under. Okay, sorry. I'm going to go over mainly because when you first said touchdowns, the line that popped in my head, I thought you were going to say 3.5 because they had 4 last week, and that one would have been more tough. I think at 2.5, I would take the over just from a betting perspective.
I'm taking the over as well. Let's finish this up with Pittsburgh field goal attempts. Again, not field goals made. Last week I set the line at 3.5. They only made 1, only attempted 1, and this time I'm going 2.5. Brian, what do you think?
I'm going to still go over and go with Nah, you know what? I'm going to go under. I think 2 sounds right about right.
All right, Dave.
Good, because Bryan had gone all straight overs with everything, so it's nice that he changed it up. I'll go over. Last week I went under. That's what separated me from you guys. This week I'll go over. That I wouldn't even be shocked if they're like, oh, well, maybe they get a long attempt at the end of the half or something like that, and they'll even try an extra one. To get three attempts is not a stretch. So
Okay. I am going to go under as well. So there you have it. Preseason week 2 versus Tampa.
So you guys both went over last week when it was 3.5 and didn't get it. This week it's 2.5 and you went under.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's the preseason for us too, Dave.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have trivia?
We do have trivia.
Okay. Why don't you start
Oh,
trivia?
no. So, sorry, I was flipping my page. All right. There's been an awful lot made over many months and everything about the Pittsburgh Steelers not winning a playoff game in such a long time. You have to go all the way back to the 2016 season for the last time that the Steelers won a playoff game. My question is this: how many players are left from that last playoff victory? I'm not talking about on the Steelers. I'm talking about in the NFL. And what I mean, to be specific, they had to have played at least one snap in that last game that they played. That was against Kansas City that they won. And they had to play a snap last year and currently be on a roster right now. How many do you think are left from that team?
Well, there's 2 on the roster right now with Chris Boswell and Cam Hayward. Is there another one?
Yeah, there's a kicker, or not on the roster, on the Steelers roster, but I think there's a kicker for the Steelers. Didn't a guy sub in for Boswell and then end up on other teams
in the playoff game?
No, I'm talking about just on the roster. Oh, he
had to play a snap in the playoff in their last playoff win.
Right. Oh, gosh, that's
yeah.
One I can think of is Mike Hilton. If that's correct.
Well, I'm going to ask you to name them eventually. So if you guys want to try to start naming them.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to say that there's 5, Dave.
You're going to guess the number is 5.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 4.
You're going to go 4. Well, Bryan is actually going to be correct. There are 4 players that played in that game. They're still in the NFL. Cam Hayward is not one of them.
Oh, he was hurt.
Cam Hayward only has 1 playoff win that he's been a part of.
That was against Miami.
And that was
he missed that. He missed that whole
No,
season?
it was his last the only playoff win Cam's been a part of was the infamous Vontaze Perfect Pac-Man Jones win over Cincinnati. Because he got hurt and didn't finish the season in 2016.
Got hurt against Dallas.
So there's only 4 players that played a snap for the Steelers that are still in the NFL.
Well, did we get 2 of them? Did Mike Hilton qualify?
No, Mike Hilton. Was he even on the team then? But he was not in that game. Trying to think, when was Hilton with the Steelers?
I know he was there in 17.
I think that's when he started.
Yeah, maybe
I'm looking.
So we have 1 then.
Yeah, he started in 2017 when he was actually on the playing games. Yeah.
So he had 1. We have 1.
So who's your 1?
That's Chris Boswell.
Who scored every point for the Steelers
Correct,
in that win?
yeah.
Yes.
There's one on the screen that I can't take credit for.
Hargrave. Javon Hargrave.
Javon Hargrave.
Artie Burns.
Artie Burns.
Nice. He tore his ACL. He's out for the year. That sucks.
Yeah,
but he's still on a team right now.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I cheer for him. Good for him. I'm glad he's getting an opportunity.
All right, so we have 1 more.
1 more.
Wow. Jesse James is gone. Oh. Josh Dobbs. No, Josh Dobbs was 17. No, that won't count.
And he wouldn't have played a snap in that game.
Is it an offensive or a defensive player?
Well, so far you have 1 special teams and 2 defense, and the third one is also defense. There is nobody who played an offensive snap in that game that is still in the NFL.
Well, that was like the Mike Mitchell safety time but that was Sean Davis that played next to him, I think.
Yep.
So those two aren't in the league anymore.
Nope.
Who was opposite Artie Burns at corner?
Joe Hayden, I think, wasn't he?
Opposite of Artie Burns in that one. Hold on. Nope.
Oh
it was
Steven Nelson.
It was Ross Cockrell.
Oh, Ross Cockrell.
Mm-hmm. You are missing who played the most defensive snap. Played 100% of the defensive snaps in that game, which is surprising for the position that he plays.
Come on, Bryan.
Think about it, because it was the year before they drafted T.J. Watt.
So is it defensive end? I mean, a rushing linebacker?
I mean, James Harrison was on the team, but he's not in the league.
James Harrison played 95% of the snaps in that game. He missed 3 snaps, but opposite him was...
Oh, was it Bud Dupree?
It was Bud Dupree, who is
Alvin is still in the league.
He's with San Diego. Or I'm sorry, Los Angeles Chargers.
Yes. So those were the 4. Now, there actually are 2 other players that played snaps in that game that played in the NFL last year, but aren't on a team right now.
Who are they?
One of which played for the Steelers last year, but's not on a team right now.
Who are they?
Jordan Berry?
Played on the Steelers last year?
Oh, that was 2 years ago. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. Dirty Red, Tyler Medikevich.
Okay.
And who only had special team snaps. And Chris Hubbard played 3 offensive snaps and 9 special team snaps.
Hubbard.
He was the jumbo tight end.
Who was he with last year? Still Cleveland?
No, I looked that up, and it wasn't Cleveland. It was
maybe Buffalo or something.
Now you're going to make me have to look it up again.
Well, why don't you?
No one cares, really.
You look that up. Brian's going to do his final thoughts. Go ahead, Bryan.
All right. So my final thoughts are simple. When you look at last week's game, and I was one of the big, detractors to the whole thing. I was
taking a phone call.
I can't believe this. I don't know how to get all this stuff off my computer. Why did it even come through my computer?
There's a silence feature on your phone.
But it is silent. The phone is silent, but the computer's talking.
He's going to pull a Defio pretty soon.
It's going through the computer. All right. So, Jacksonville this week, they're demoralized after just their first preseason game because there was all this hype. The defense is going to be better. The offense is going to get better. We're going to play our starters. We don't care what they're playing. And the Steelers made them look bad last week. And this was the B team. And if the B team is going to make you look bad and they're going to go ahead and get better, then you've got to think that there's some things to be excited about.
I like it. Dave, final thoughts.
Chris Hubbard played with the Giants last year.
I knew he was going to. There you go. I knew he was coming.
So yeah, let's have a good time. I guess I don't know if we're going to have. Obviously, this show won't be on Thursday next week because it'll be a post game show.
I think we're just going to do a post game show. I think we're just going to do a post game show.
Yeah, just a little of that. Jeff doesn't want to do a Steelers preview at 5:30 and then a post game show afterwards. But yeah,
no.
But
challenge not accepted.
Yes, which I think is what is crazy is that we're talking about in just over a week and a few hours, the preseason being done. Man, it just goes way too fast. I'm going to enjoy watching this game Saturday night to take in all that we can. And the regular season football is going to be here before we know it.
I don't have final thoughts, but I do today, and it's going to be brief. The reports that the Steelers defense came out flat and players like Jalen Ramsey kind of got burned a little bit, you know what I say? Good. I'm glad they did. I'm glad the defense maybe got smacked in the mouth a little bit. You know what? I think they might have been drinking their own Kool-Aid a little bit like we did for the offense in 2023. It's going to be good that there's tape on them that doesn't look good, that maybe gets them refocused and saying, okay, I still do have to work on the basics. I still have to go out there and grind. Just because we have the name doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to come to fruition on the field. So I am glad that they got a little smack in the face. Even if it's by Mike Evans, that's fine by me. So there you go. Those are my final thoughts for the week. Make sure you check us out on Saturday. We'll be on for the post-game show after the game, just like we were last week. Make sure you check out SteelCurtainNetwork.com for all of our free articles. Free website. Go to SteelCurtainNetwork.com. Check out all of our podcasts like Bryan's Here We Go show. Also Bryan's Bad Language. Dave's Pittsburgh Standard Time was this morning. My Let's Ride every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Check them all out wherever you get your podcasts. We do appreciate it. But Dave, why don't you send us out?
Hey.
We'll see you next week on another Steelers preview. Take it easy.
Steel Curtain Network. Get it.
Everybody else gets a little tight.